And then I will take us live. Wait. Need the good old intro music.
So we just put live?
No, not live yet. Almost. Windows Media Player is like what I imagine a bad ex-girlfriend would be. It's like, oh, you accidentally double-clicked this and you want to open it in Media Player? You sure you don't want to make us your default Media Player?
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, like, we can play everything now. We're experienced. How about no? Okay. I should make sure this is playing. Test. Fuck you two. Jeez. It's all firing and all.
And I lost you. And you're back.
I know. I'm going to have to buy a new mic.
I don't know if it's your mic. I think it might be XSplit.
The mic literally, like, cuts out. Okay.
Maybe you just need a new cord.
That's probably a cheaper option. I'll probably test that out. All right. So I'm going to take us live in 3, let's go. Welcome to the Gamers Inn. Come on in, pull up a chair next to the fire. It looks like you've had an incredibly long journey. I know that I have. I'm your host today, Ryan, and joining me today is Joel Duggan of Starcrossed Online and the Citadel Cafe. Joel, thank you for joining us. How's it going?
Happy to be here. I had the Gamers Inn playing live with a 10-second delay in the background, and I was completely confused for a minute, and I had to find out where that was coming from and stop it immediately, because there's nothing like hearing your own voice with a slight delay in your earphones when you're trying to do a podcast.
Well, if there's anything more annoying than one Ryan, it's two. So I guess we'll explain. Jocelyn is feeling a little under the weather today. And by a little, she's not feeling too great. So
yeah, Jocelyn's quite sick.
Exactly. So everybody listening, send your well wishes on Twitter, and that should at least get her to the state of recovery where she can enjoy games again, but still be too sick to go to work. Like, that's kind of the sweet spot, right?
Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, we need her to be upright and controller ready. Mm-hmm. But and possibly less coughing, because when you're coughing, you shake the controller and then you could die, and that's never a good thing.
Yeah, you don't.
So
want
yeah,
that. You don't. Want
she does. She does have the iPad though.
Oh.
So she's currently Netflix is babysitting Jocelyn right now.
Oh, that's how I plan to raise my kids. Netflix. But so everybody just send your well wishes tweets, and that will send her off to a speedy recovery so she can enjoy her weekend, because there's nothing worse than being sick heading into the weekend. Speaking of the weekend, we both had a very busy week, it sounds like, but Joel hasn't been on in a while, so I'm sure he's saved up a lot of video game stories. So we're going to jump right in to what you've been playing, Joel. What's been keeping your gaming time occupied?
Well, it's funny that this kind of happened with Jocelyn being sick and me filling in, because I've actually mentioned to her recently that I could fill in for you if you were away, because I was able to complete both Assassin's Creed 4 and the first story arc for Batman Arkham Origins. Both of these were Christmas presents, by the way. So this just to kind of give you an idea of how busy my 2014 has been. I haven't had much of a chance to play the games. I really liked Assassin's Creed when I first got into it. I started playing on holiday in Ontario with Jocelyn's family. Greg has her brother has an Xbox, so I was playing in the basement there, and it was great because I could play for like 2 or 3 hours and just kind of really get into it. With Batman, it was a little bit more sparse. Like I'd have a couple hours here and there. Honestly, my go-to evening for playing Batman was when you and Jocelyn were doing the Gamers Inn. I could just kind of put headphones on and be in the living room playing Batman.
Sure.
So that was how I consumed that. I don't know, where do you want to start? You've played Assassin's Creed 4, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. I actually completed it as well. I'm working on, slowly but surely, I'm working on the DLC that came out.
Ooh, I didn't know there was DLC. I didn't know there was DLC for that.
Yeah, it features the Adewale, your black quartermaster, I think.
Oh, right.
Quartermaster might not be the right word, but
yeah, no, that's him. He's
okay,
right. He's the quartermaster. Yeah,
and he is a full-fledged assassin in this one. Of course, it'd be kind of boring playing an Assassin's Creed DLC without being an assassin, but no, it's really cool, and I haven't made it all the way through, but it deals with a lot of like really tough issues. Like slavery is front and center, and it goes back to the time when it was sort of the norm to watch people being paraded through the streets, being, sold into slavery. And it's actually kind of dark and can be a little tough if you don't really know a lot about that history. And it certainly got to be alarming for people who are like, I love Assassin's Creed, I get to stab dudes in the neck, and then, oh my god, social commentary. But I really enjoy it, and it's one of the better Assassin's Creed DLCs that they've put out.
Cool. I remember being spoiled. On the Xbox, there's an ad for the DLC, and you see Adewale in a assassin's outfit.
Oh.
And I wasn't finished the story of the game yet, and I thought, well, now I know he survives. Like, because several of the characters that you're near and dear with, over the course of the game, don't make it. Like I said, what's the benchmark on spoilers for this? It's only been out for a couple months.
Well, I mean, in terms of the main game, it's been out for a while. It depends on what you want to spoil. I mean, I'm trying to think of that game.
I won't say names and stuff like that. But I really enjoyed the game. It was my first ever Assassin's Creed game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Jocelyn, she picked up both Batman and Assassin's Creed for me for Christmas, but she bought Batman on PC and she bought Assassin's Creed on Xbox. And the gameplay and everything with Assassin's Creed is fine. I really like the combat. It's very similar to Batman in that you have kind of like, an attack button, a counter button, and like a stun or it's not a stun, it's like a break. What do they call it? Break defense. So if the guy's really digging in and blocking all of your shots, you use a special kind of attack to break a defense. It's very similar to the cape stun from Batman. Sure. In terms of like which buttons you're pressing and when. And I loved the brutality of it, like how you could. It felt like every time you killed somebody, you were killing them in a different way, and that felt really badass.
You were really killing them, like.
And it's not like you had to do any special button combination, right? Like, I mean, it's just a matter of you kill them at the right moment, and then they play random death animation 12, and it really makes you feel pretty cool. It's one of those games where I guess you call it like sticky controls, where you're running and you're jumping and you don't necessarily have to aim your landing. You kind of have to aim your takeoff. And that to me was good, except for in a lot of ways I would be sticking to walls. So like you go to run through and you want to like jump a fence and go by a barn and then jump up on the roof of the barn. And I would get stuck kind of like hugging the barn and like peeking around the corner. I was like, well, no, I wanted to jump on it, not hide up against it. And so your great big charge kind of goes stop, peek. Okay, I guess I could run now, and you lose your momentum, and that kind of stuff was a little bit of a not a letdown, but just I wasn't used to it because I'm not used to those kind of sticky controls.
It can be frustrating. Like Assassin's Creed, like a majority of its mission scenario setup is run after this dude and catch, kill, interrogate. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those three. And then it's varied enough with story bits in between that you don't really notice, but that's the essentials, how it boils down. And sometimes I found that like it can get really frustrating, maybe not in Black Flag, but in previous titles, when you're running and the way they have the controls set up, it's very easy for your character to think, oh yeah, sure, I want to turn 45 degrees and climb up that wall. I don't want to chase after this guy anymore. It's like, no, no, no. So like occasionally you'll be running, I almost got him, and then like you forget to turn the controller at a certain angle and your guy just kind of starts to run up a wall and then stall, and it can be really frustrating. But I think they fixed most of those issues with Black Flag. But like in the past you'd get stuck climbing, like you'd get to a certain point climbing and you couldn't get any higher. But in Black Flag they sort of decrease the difficulty or the mini puzzle, I guess, of climbing, that you can kind of just get from bottom to top pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty clear. I found the first couple times I played it, I had kind of a crick in my neck because I was sitting on the floor just because it was more comfortable for me to sit on the floor with some Christmas snacks and the controller on my lap. And I found that as I was climbing stuff, I was kind of like looking up. And trying to figure out where I was going. I found it was pretty clear on that kind of stuff. I liked that they showed off so much of the work that they put into the scenery too. Like, because you know how you go up to those synchronization points, and then you take a look around and it reveals the map so that now you know where certain buildings are and where certain people are and stuff like that, and certain mission objectives. And I really enjoyed that stuff. Are you a kind of sneak around and kill everybody from the bushes kind of guy, or were you more of a charge head on?
I was always the kind of guy who hates restarting. Like the first thing you learn, and I think over the years on this show, I've preached this message before when it comes to these games, and it's the sense that never, ever, ever think you're going to get 100% synchronization. This is a Police album or something. You're never going to get 100%. So just what I'll do is I'll sneak around as best I can. It's really fun to like kill a few dudes, pull them in the bushes, and step and move on. But once I get caught, it's like, great, now I get to kill people with a little bit of finesse, and I'll try to mix up the weapons to kind of experience the different animations and stuff. But man, like just brutal kills. I remember when the first one came out, it was really surprising how your character would kill. And like you were saying, it's very basic Batman type combat. But like Batman, when you go to kill somebody, not in Batman, you don't kill people, but when you do like the 2-button combo finisher, you're always getting like a different animation. And it's the same thing in Assassin's Creed, where you'll do all the work and then the payoff is doing something neat, like by parrying successfully and then taking your sword and replacing his spine with it. I remember I think my favorite one is you stabbing somebody through the mouth. Yep.
And you almost wipe their chin, like with like the drawback of the blade is very slow and deliberate, and the guy just kind of drops. It's like it's pretty brutal.
It's a little gross when you think about it.
And the cool thing is, and I don't know if this was just my luck or whether it's the game by design, I feel like it happened more often when you were killing ship captains and bosses. So if you was a really heavy guy that was hard to kill, when you did kill him, it was very satisfying.
A lot of ankle takeouts, like with those, with the, we talked about the break defense. Break defense is essentially just stabbing dudes in the sides of knees. I mean, like, let's face it, like I would think it's not necessarily a break defense. It's more like take out his right leg, But I'm looking, having played through Black Flag and how that series is sort of like, okay, let's leave all this stuff out of the way. Let's try to stop doing all those weird, side missions and stupid story stuff, and let's focus on what makes Assassin's Creed great, like the story and the history and just being a badass. And I hope that with this next generation version coming out in the fall, we are going to get that true leap forward in this series and have it just be all the great stuff of Assassin's Creed, as opposed to just another layer of awesome with still all that crusty shit at the bottom.
Yeah, that would be. I mean, one of the cons that I found about this game was everything in the pirate realm was so compelling and so story driven that I did not do very many of the side quests. So, I mean, not knowing how these games work because I'm not as experienced with them as you guys are, I was looking at my percentage of game complete at 30-40%, and I'm like 20 or 30 hours in going, man, this is great. I've got I never have to worry about what I'm playing for the next couple months. I'm always playing Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
So as I thought I was ending the arc of the first part of the story, I was actually ending the arc of the game. And I ended it at around 30 or 40% of the way through.
Sure.
Which I guess is normal for a open world or semi-open world game where there's lots of stuff to do and lots of achievements and all these different things that all contribute to your 100% game, completion. And so I was surprised when it ended and it wrapped up so much. And I was completely uninterested in all the stuff that was happening in the future world.
Yeah.
Did not care. Did not care. And honestly, kind of thought it was dumb.
It's the better implementation of that side. Every one of the Assassin's Creed games has this I'm out of the Matrix moment, and you're walking around. The first one was you playing as Desmond, walking around in this pretty much a prison cell, and you'd get up, cutscene to move the story forward in the future, and then you'd walk to your room, and then you'd go back on the table the next day. The second one was more of that with a little bit of traversal, and then they got a little weird with Revelations, where it was a puzzle game. And then Black Flag, they actually didn't even show the future stuff and said the future stuff in Black Flag is just not going to make anything. It's not going to even be a huge deal. And I think with Black Flag, it starts to play on the sort of background story of Abstergo building these entertainment products to pretty much brainwash kids and the youth into going into the Templar Order, right? It doesn't always go their way, but they're kind of like Scooby-Doo villains. I would have got away with it if it weren't for you stupid assassins,
Yeah.
And whoever you're a faceless person in this and just kind of walking around, but I don't think anybody really likes that side stuff because again, it's you're pulling yourself away from what makes those games great. And when you're ripped away from something that is really fun, you're going to feel it. And I think, because essentially that side stuff, it's not that bad. But in comparison to being a badass pirate,
that's probably true.
Yeah. It's really, yeah, as you said, it can be jarring. I mean, the chat room's going nuts with AC talk. I mean, a lot of people are saying, Valid said skip the first one. That is totally true. We got a lot of people saying they've played 2.
I've heard 2 and whatever the expansion for 2 was.
Brotherhood.
When Lou was on the Citadel Cafe a little while ago, we started talking about Assassin's Creed, probably because I was playing it and I mentioned it on the show, and he said that 2 and Brotherhood were his favorite Assassin's Creed games, and they were possibly 2 of his favorite video games. Apparently, the story in them is really, really well done.
Yeah, I mean, the Ezio trilogy is really neat. I played through Revelations. A lot of people felt that Revelations was a tired entry in the sense that it was just another Ezio adventure. It kind of felt like that was their Dark Knight, not the Dark Knight Nolan, but the Dark Knight Frank Miller, in the sense that you're playing an older assassin.
Right.
And I mean, he can still get around and jump and kill shit, but you can certainly feel it when he lands. The animations are a little more him kind of hurting, and it's just a little. They could have done a lot better with the concept, but it was interesting to essentially play Ezio from beginning to end as an assassin. You start off as a teenager and work your way all the way up to your 50s when you shit happens. I'm not going to spoil it. But that I can see a lot of people jumping out at Revelations, but Assassin's Creed 3 probably worth skipping that one because 4 is so good.
Well, yeah. I mean, and apparently I thought this was all brand new in Assassin's Creed 4, but apparently they started getting into the ship combat in 3. Because 3 was the one with it was a Native American, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Civil War stuff.
Connor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it would have been British invasion. No.
Sorry.
Wait.
Yeah. Not Civil War.
Revolution.
Revolutionary War or something
We're
like
Canadian. I mean, we're not supposed to know this
that.
stuff.
Sorry.
Come on, Americans. There's probably I saw people talking about Memorial Day. They got to know. That's got to something to do with this.
Yeah. That's awful. That's embarrassing. I should know that. But anyway, the ship combat in Assassin's Creed 4, is the first time I have ever played a real pirate video game where the ship combat was phenomenal. Like it took a little bit to get used to, not in that it was wonky, but just that, like, in order to fire certain guns, you have to be pointing the camera towards those guns before you can aim them. That was a little bit tricky. I didn't really know how to fire mortars at first, and I didn't realize that you had to, purchase more ammo for certain things when you ran out. But once I got a handle on all that, man, oh man, like especially once I got a few upgrades and upgraded my hull armor, so I could kind of go in, cannons blazing and not really care for most smaller ships. It was great. I mean, I would lose. I'd go in to continue the story, and I'd be sailing from like point A to point B, and fast travel is an option, but you never want to do it. Like, you just want to get out on the open ocean, get back into like the cruising view where you've got like a third person with your whole ship in front of you. The guys are singing sea shanties and the music is going, and like, just, it's a brilliant experience. And then you come across some, poor bugger that's a smaller ship than you, and you're just like, oh well, I'm gonna take you guys down. And you get ship combat, then you board them, and you get like hand-to-hand combat. I mean, one of my favorite things to do is there's a couple of, like, not hot buttons, but there's a couple of really cool I guess nodes in the game where when you're attacking a ship, instead of just jumping from ship to ship, you can run forward towards one of your masts, and there's a hook with like a winch, so that you kick off the counterweight, and it zip lines you to the top of your mast in the crow's nest, and then you can run across your own like masts and jump on theirs, and then find whoever it is that you want to take out, and then just drop down on them, like, well, kind of like Batman. But it's brilliant. It's so much fun, and I did that for ages, like, as soon as it's over, it's like, all right, where's the next ship? Like, I can't wait to do it all over again.
Well, the beauty of that is it's that feedback loop. It goes back to the original Halo, where the designers were asked, like, what makes Halo so special and famous for just its quality of fun. And it's like, it's that 30 seconds of fun rule. If you can repeat that 30 seconds of fun and just layer it and layer it and layer it, you're going to get an addicting, fun game that people are not going to want to put down. And when it comes to the ship combat, you're getting fun ship combat, and then when you stop to board people, you're getting the fun assassination combat. Whether you're jumping down from the mast to assassinate people, or you're countering and seeing those cool animations. Like, essentially the best parts of Assassin's Creed are boiled down to like 2 minutes of interactions, and it's like, it's brilliant for what they've done, and it allows people to be like, I don't want to experience this wacky story. I kind of want to just go off and kill things for a bit and explode boats. So it's really nice.
Now, what did you play it on? PC?
I played on PS4.
PS4, right? So you had the next gen graphics, because that was something about Assassin's Creed on the Xbox 360, which does not really stand up. Is something that I can actually say that I've compared, because Jocelyn has been playing off and on PC on her doghouse. So the graphics there are obviously far and away. But I've seen clips from PS4 and Xbox One to try and see if it was me, whether it was a setting or something, and it really does look much better as far as the shadows are concerned. For whatever reason, the way that they had to dumb down the shadows for the Xbox 360 meant that they're always dancing, if that makes any sense. So the edge of a shadow, even though it's a hard shadow, would always be flickering. And the only time they could get away with it is when you're in like jungle cover, where the wind is blowing tree leaves and your shadows are going to always be moving anyway. Yeah. But everything else, it was very distracting, I found, for cutscenes and stuff like that. They made up for it with good acting. A lot of the the body language and the expressions and a lot of the motion capture walks, especially for Edward, were bang on. Like I really felt that Edward was a strong character, like physically. Like you really kind of got his mood from how he was standing or how he was speaking with people. Whether that was all mocap or whether it was a combination of mocap and some animation. I mean, I think it really worked out well to the point where he's in a new movie and the voice actor.
Oh.
And I recognized him. And I recognized the voice a little bit at first, but it was his body language in the trailer that made me pick up and went, that's the guy from Assassin's Creed.
Who is it?
I'm trying to remember his name right now.
Movie, I guess.
The movie is Constantine, I think. It's a comic book movie about demons and stuff. Is it the new TV
show?
Oh, is it a TV show? Maybe it's not a movie.
Yeah, it's well, I know there wasn't, but it was Keanu Reeves. It was a while ago, but there's a new TV show starting in the fall on NBC. I don't know. He's British though, is he not?
He's Scottish.
Okay,
British
I don't know.
Or Scottish.
I have to look it up. I think I'm feeling like it is him because
I'll stick the chat room on it. I mean, go look up the actor from Assassin's Creed, the voice actor for Edward, and then let us know what his next project is. And it's Constantine or something similar. Like it's one of those kind of vampire, demons and stuff.
Cool. So it's not it. So the chat room's saying it sounds like it is the TV show, but. Yeah, that's interesting. So, one thing I always love is to truly get hooked on somebody who's in a video game and then find them in where they're playing, like they're actually being, no, I shouldn't say that, where they're an actor on camera. Like, you probably have heard of Nolan North, right?
Yes.
Okay, so he's got a very distinctive voice. He is, the Uncharted series. Like, he makes that thing. Being Nathan Drake, and then Ashley watches Pretty Little Liars, which is essentially it's like a murder mystery chick flick of story of the week kind of thing. She digs it. That's awesome. I like Lord of the Rings. She likes Pretty Little Liars. We walk away and it's all good. So in that show, I'm like just walking by and I hear this. I hear Nathan Drake and I look over. It's like, oh my God, Nolan North is in Pretty Little Liars. I'm gonna sit down and watch this for a bit. He's like, that's not Nathan Drake. I'm gonna go away now because he's like some father and it's weird, but
yeah,
it's just really weird to see voice actors in TV shows because you know their voice, right? But
yeah,
you talk about the mocap and stuff, and I guess they really are starting to blur those lines of it's not just the voice, it's not just a voice actor, it's the mocap as well.
Yeah. He, Nolan North, I knew I recognized the name. He's Oswald Cobblepot in the Batman series.
Speaking of Batman, you finished that as well, right?
Yeah, I did. I finished the first storyline. I have the season pass because it's such a good game that I wanted to pick that up. But I have not played the first or the second. So the first set of DLC, I think there's 3 altogether so far. The first one is a set of challenge maps that have cutscenes in them. And this is something that actually, to kind of gripe with the game off the bat. It's not really clear where everything is in the menus. So I'm playing on Steam, and I'm playing with a controller. It's hooked up to the TV, Jocelyn's old PC. So it feels like a kind of Xbox experience. But they didn't do a very good job of explaining where this DLC is going to show up. So the first DLC is this challenge map that is like Bruce Wayne's origins. It's like basically you fighting in like dojos overseas as you're training to eventually become Batman.
Cool.
But it took me forever. Like I had to look it up on the internet, like where the hell is this stuff, to find it. Because I purchased it with the season's pass, but I didn't know where it was, so I couldn't play it, and I didn't want to play anything out of order. The second DLC pack, which is more like map packs and stuff like that, is more for the multiplayer, and apparently you can do like 3v3 multiplayer stuff, which is
there was multiplayer.
Yeah, and I haven't tried it, so I can't speak to that. And then the third DLC is a story arc, and that is Cold Cold Heart, and that just came out in April, and that's what kind of made me aware of the fact that there was DLC for the game, because the main story in Origins, for anybody that doesn't know, is basically Batman is just starting out. He's just kind of meeting Commissioner Gordon and just kind of confronting the police because they still think he's a monster, or just one of the bad guys. So you have to contest everybody whenever you run into them.
Right.
And Black Mask, as the trailer suggests, hires a bunch of supervillains essentially to kill Batman, and he's got like $1 million as a bounty for the head of Batman. And it is fantastic. I mean, they do kind of bank on the fact that you've played the other Arkham games. Like, they really kind of just throw you in to the deep end. You have to fight guys right away. It's not a spoiler. In the first 3 minutes of the game, you're fighting Killer Croc. Like, I mean, it just happens. And
that guy's always getting picked on in these games. He's always like the first boss, and he's always the one to go down first.
Yeah, it's tricky because, I mean, you have to do certain mechanics and you have to get used to things right away. And I mean, it's a good way to introduce you to certain things, certain mechanics of the combat and whatnot. And then the story really gets going right from there. And I mean, I can start with, I guess, the cons. I mean, some of the things I didn't like about the game, where it sounds funny to say, the story was so compelling that I almost played it like just beeline straight through. But what that means is it did get harder because I wasn't doing any side missions to get extra XP. I wasn't going out of my way to get like Riddler stuff or hidden things, which I now have to go back and do if I want any achievements. Because of that, I felt it felt very short. And I heard that about it. I heard it was good, but I heard it was short. And it wouldn't have been so short had I taken more of those side missions. So if anybody out there hasn't played it yet, or if you're in the midst of playing it, take the side missions. If you hear a crime in progress, stop it. Like, just go and do that kind of stuff, because you'll get a little bit more of a robust experience out of it.
Yeah. Now, that's a good point when you mentioned for these fine folks to go play it. I mean, Batman Arkham Origins, unfortunately, it wasn't panned, but for some reason it got the bargain bin treatment, at least on Steam. I've seen a lot of sales go on with this, and I'm not that has no question of quality. I mean, a lot of games go on sale, and it's not
still
like,
$40 in most stores.
Yeah, so on Steam, I think I've seen the main game as low as $10 on Humble Bundle. Again, like, if you see it like that, pick it up.
Don't tell Jocelyn.
Well, I mean, how you bought it for Christmas, right? That
she got it for me for Christmas, right? But this actually led to a discussion that we had shortly after Christmas, because we went Boxing Day shopping just like everybody else out in Ontario, and looking around for stuff. And we walked into, I think it was an EB or a GameStop or something up in Ontario. And sure enough, some of the games that we had purchased for one another for Christmas were like half off.
Yeah.
So we just decided from now on, no more game gifts for like, maybe birthdays, but not for like big events like Christmas or, things like right before a Steam sale, like that kind of stuff. Anytime we're giving a game now, it's going to be game money, like a game card or a gift card for EB or something like that, if it's an Xbox title or however you're going to do it, but have it earmarked. Like, I wanted to buy you Batman because, Jocelyn's thoughtful and she knows I love Batman. So that's why she wanted to do that.
Oh, but, sorry. Yeah, she is thoughtful. I don't, whoever's listening, don't take that the wrong way. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, right. I agree with you. Not
right.
Sorry, keep going. I just want to make sure no one's like emailing, Ryan, you're such a dick. Please stop doing that.
No, well, that's the thing is that,
Jocelyn.
Gift cards are not exactly the kind of thing that a girlfriend or boyfriend that you've been living with for 2 years would expect to get. Like, that's kind of I got you money. Like,
well, it's not about, to me, and this doesn't necessarily just apply to Christmas, and this is probably a good sign that Joel hasn't been on in a while, and we need to have him on more often. Like, he keeps saying that Christmas, Boxing Day. Okay. But there's a lot of sales that go on all the time, and nowadays it's not just wait for the winter sale, wait for the spring sale, wait for the summer sale. It's just don't buy it till it goes on sale. Like, things go on sale all the time.
Especially now that we're dealing with digital stuff, yeah.
Yeah, like Humble Bundle was going through like an anniversary sale where they had new stuff on sale every day, which included Batman. And What I usually do is I'll add stuff to my wish list, and I'll wait for it to go on sale if I don't have time to play it, because I don't mind paying full price for a game if I'm going to play it right away.
Right.
Sometimes I just don't have time to pick up a new title. Like, for instance, Banner Saga is a good one. Like, I've been waiting months to actually play it because I just haven't had time to jump into this like fantasy RPG. Finally, it went on sale, and I'm gonna play it for next week. But it showed up in my inbox. War Crusher had picked it up for me. It's like, I saw it on sale, so that's the other thing too. Is stuff goes on sale so much. It's like, well, I could buy this full price, or I could wait and buy 2 copies and give it away to a friend.
Yeah.
And that happens.
And have someone to play with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or, just kind of have someone to talk about it with. It's not always about, well, it's for us, we're on a podcast, so it's like it's also about sharing your experience as content. But for other people, it's like just water cooler chat. Like, I want to be able to talk about that mission in Banner Saga or that story moment in Walking Dead, so I'm going to buy the 2-pack so I can share that experience with a friend. But what I usually do for Boxing Day is I'll actually wait for Boxing Day, because I don't go home for Christmas. It's usually a few days after, and I'll pick up Boxing Day games. And I mean, what gamer doesn't want to get 2 games for the price of 1 for Christmas? I mean, come on.
Well, really though, right? I mean, that's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, have you played Batman Arkham Origins at all?
I've dabbled. I rented it just to kind of check it out, and it's good. I enjoyed it, and I think maybe once I get a hankering to go through it, I'll pick it up, probably before Arkham Knight.
Oh, geez, Arkham Knight looks so good.
I haven't watched that trailer that came out this week. I haven't had a chance.
Oh, there's a new trailer?
Oh yeah, it launched this week. It shows supposedly it's like gameplay. Gameplay.
Cool. I've only ever seen the announcement trailer, but they just do such a good job with these games. I mean, I went back and I was playing Arkham Asylum while I was waiting for Arkham Origins to come out, because I was just I was going back and completing like Riddler trophies and something like that. I think Jocelyn had more than me, and she kind of gave me shit on Twitter, and I was like, all right, fine, I'll go back and get more trophies. And there was a noticeable difference between Asylum and City. City was obviously much better. I do remember griping about City when I first started playing it, is that it was a steeper learning curve for the combat. The timing was different.
Sure.
But in Origins, it's more of the same. So, like I said, they really kind of bank on your muscle memory for playing Arkham City and then going in Origins, but it's not broken, so they didn't fix it. If anything, they might have tweaked it to make it a little bit better, like flowing from one guy to the next and doing those combo moves that you're talking about earlier, where breaking a guy's kneecap or something like that. They're all very, very straightforward. I still can't master the knife takedown. That's the one thing I haven't been able to do. But I really enjoy just I guess it's the brutality of it. You really feel like you're pounding people. Like, it's not like you're just kind of doing a couple of Bruce Lee moves or whatever. When you hit these people, there is these miraculous thuds, as you're elbowing rib cages and stuff like that. And it's really, really cool. I guess the only other thing that kind of ups the combat is the voice acting. And it's not the guys from Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. It's not Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy. It's I'm trying to remember their names right now. It's different guys for Batman and for Joker, and you
got Troy Baker for the Joker, which I thought he did a great job.
Fantastic. Everybody does a great job.
Yeah, and the guy who actually plays Batman, full circle, is the voice actor for one of the Assassin's Creed games. I think Ezio.
Oh, okay.
He might be Ezio. Or maybe not full circle, and just keep walking in the other direction. He's actually the voice actor for Sonic the Hedgehog. So he doesn't really kill people, but he kills them with boredom and crappy gameplay. Sorry, guys, I said it. But
I really liked both. I mean, he plays a younger, angrier Batman. They did a great job with all of the voice actors. Bane was great. They have a unique take on these villains, and there are some things where they take to the extreme, and I understand that they have to do that to kind of make a threat for Batman. There was, if you remember, in Arkham City, and I think maybe Arkham Origins too, or Arkham Asylum, there's these almost platformer levels. Like I think there was a Scarecrow sequence or two, all of this stuff. There was a lot less of that in Arkham Origins, which I liked because I didn't find them very compelling. There were some third-person kind of walkthroughs, like dream sequences and stuff, but they were story-driven. They weren't platforming stuff. It wasn't meant to give you something else to do. It was just kind of meant as a little bit of a break between all the, I don't want to say button mashing, but it's a heavy button game. Like you're really kind of beating on people a lot.
Yeah, I think the best part about those Batman games is the satisfaction of the impact. Like you were talking about the combat and that je ne sais quoi about like what is actually so great about it. And I think it really is that impact. And I was playing the other game that came out alongside Origins, which was Origins Blackgate, on which came out exclusively to handheld, but
right.
I picked it up, the deluxe edition on the PC. It's not very deluxe, and I we had talked about it on the show, and I was racking my brain as to why I didn't feel it lived up to that Batman-ness that's so great. And it's the combat. It's floaty. It doesn't connect well. It's just shitty,
Yeah.
And on the I guess on the handheld, you can kind of use it's a handheld game, guys. No way you're going to be able to connect that combat goodness, but that's the problem, with that game. And yeah, but Origin sounds like it's the game to kind of like tie you over till Arkham Knight, but also a great way to tie you over as opposed to don't touch Origins.
Oh yeah, no, it's fantastic. I mean, it has all the same bells and whistles with like trial maps and challenge maps, and you can be Deathstroke in the challenge maps, which is wicked because he's got a metal bow staff. And that thing makes a wicked clank when you hit somebody in the skull with it. He's brutal. I mean, they're all just brutal when they fight.
Wow.
One of the things I did notice about Arkham Origins though was that it's not very open world. There's fast travel, so that's good. They've added that. But when you're just kind of cruising around, like doing your Batman grapple thing from building to building, when you want to go into a different zone, you kind of have to go through the door into that zone. Or go well around in a way that you don't really feel the game has intended you to go. And I remember with Arkham City, there was one thing in the middle that you couldn't get over, and it was like the Wonder Tower.
Yeah.
So the whole map was like a giant U, but you could go the whole range of that zone without having to do anything, with the exception of cutting across the middle. The thing with Arkham Origins is that each zone has its own cutoff. Now it's huge. It's much bigger. It's easily 2 or 3 times the size of Arkham City. But that kind of takes you out of it when you're like, oh, I'm Batman and I've got a grapple and I can't get over this building? Really?
That was a little weird in City.
I kind of feel like they could have just let me get over the building. I'm not saying let me go everywhere. I understand there has to be some restrictions, but it was a little bit strange in that way.
You get really good at getting around that building though near the end of the game.
Yeah.
You're just so used to it. It's like skip.
Yeah, skip around. Yeah. I do a dive bomb out the side and come up.
Yeah, I want to play Batman.
How did you feel about the shock gloves? Did you get that far?
I don't think so. See, for example, when you said that, when you had that in the notes, I thought you were talking about like they actually came out with a Wii U Arkham City exclusive edition that gave you the shock gloves. And I thought it's like he didn't play the Wii U version. I mean, that'd be weird. But
no, this is spoiler, you win. You're Batman.
Oh, okay.
But when you take down one of the villains that's trying to take you out, you then appropriate his technology into your gauntlets, and it's an electrifying effect. And after you achieve a certain number of hits in a row, you can turn them on.
Oh, cool.
And so what it does, it's a one-punch stun for anybody. It doesn't matter what the villain is. And that feels pretty broken.
Oh, okay.
when you're in a fight. It's a great way to get out of a fight if you're almost dead. Like if you're really having trouble with something and you're going to die and it's going to be a real pain in the ass for you to do it all over again, I turn them on and I just give them hell. But if it's something that I can do in the middle of a fight, I don't do it, because when I turn them on, it really just ends things far too quickly. And the fun of Batman is the combos. It's not just punching somebody in the face and having them sail across the room. If I wanted that, I would get a Superman game. It's about, grabbing the guy's arm, punching him in the ribs, kicking his knee, and then, kneeing him in the balls and watching him writhe on the floor. Like it's all about how you dismantle, your opponent, not just one-shotting them. And I found that it was just way OP once I got it.
It's funny, us talking about the games we talked about tonight, Assassin's Creed, Batman, how much, like, if we just had a random listener pop in for the first time and just listen to this and be kind of like, man, is this podcast always so, like, crazy? Like, they sound like they want to murder people. It's like, no, we take it out on faceless thugs that will recover. I mean,
well, it's because we're nice guys in real life, right? So we would never hit anybody. We would never get into any kind of a fight. Well, so we have to take it out on video games.
There was that one time I tried to cape stun my boss. It did not work.
Turn out for you?
It didn't turn out that great. I thought he had a knife. I mean, come on. It's just you gotta be careful. I only had a tea towel and my cape was at home in the dryer, so it was just kind of like, and then he's like, "What the fuck? Get out of here!" So I did, and then I went over to the Doghouse Systems website, where they're selling these great computers, and I'm just going to read the ad text rather than try to improvise, because that is not my style. Jocelyn and I really appreciate your continued support of our show, along with the support of our sponsor, Doghouse Systems. Use the code TheGamersIn to double your RAM when you purchase a new gaming rig. Head on over to doghousesystems.com and get your order. Don't do that. Get your order on. Leave the order at home. You shop online. I guess you could just, yeah. So we actually went a little long, so we're going to skip over this a little bit. And then we're going to talk about yet another sponsor, but it's not really a sponsor. It's just a cool way for you to get a new t-shirt. I mean, this has been a video podcast for I don't know how long, and I've probably worn this shirt a bunch of times. So what I need to do is get over to slashloot.com and start showing off, my TGI pride. So go over to slashloot.com, grab yourself a Gamers In t-shirt. They have tons of other awesome shirts, including designs by Carter Johnson, like her Best Pals design, as well as all your favorite podcasts like Azeroth Roundtable, The Morning Stream, Zombies Ate My Podcast, and The Angry Chicken. So go to slashloot.com and show off your podcast pride. That was a big episode, but Joel, we have one more big email to read. We've been getting some cool emails lately. This one comes in from Val, who's in the chat room.
Hey, nice.
I wanted to read this email today because it was very thoughtful. She says, "Bonjour from Canada's Frenchy province." That's so good. It has been quite some time since I contacted the inn. I believe that I can see Joel shaking his head. I believe the last time I sent you guys an email was in regards to my appreciation of Mass Effect 3. But I digress. I just finished episode 122 on my drive home. I also have a 45 to 50 minute commute, but I have to frickin' drive all the way. Aw. So she's like me, she can't play video games when she's driving to work, whereas Jocelyn has the bus. And I wanted to congratulate you on the touching email you received from one of your fans, from Josh, who was also in the chat room. I thought it was very sweet how he mentioned that he was always rather shy, and that now, thanks to the Gamers In and the people he met while gaming with the community, he is willing to take up his courage and host a podcast of his own. That was very moving. Thank you, Val, for sending that in. But
should we warn Josh that it's a slippery slope? Like, he's doing one now.
Oh, God.
We'll touch base with him in 3 months, and he'll have like 6 podcasts.
Tell me about it.
Mm-hmm.
It happens. But, it's a good thing. You just have to be able to balance life and talking like a crazy person into it.
Absolutely.
And make sure your family knows that you're actually talking to people on the internet.
The longest just time, talking to yourself.
Yeah. It's like, Ryan closed his office door, and it's just hear him talking really weird. It's just weird. But Val continues her email, and I I will state that she is joking, semi-joking for this next part. So she says, I've always been a solo video game player, but that doesn't mean I don't like gaming with other people. In fact, I really love it. And I love playing with both of you guys, but lately, you only play games I cannot play. Smite, Windows only. Mario Golf, it's on the 3DS. Diablo expansion, I don't have it. If you guys ever want to dust off your Xboxes and play something with me, I have other games besides Mass Effect 3. Come and see me. Val, you make a really good point, and I wanted to read this because it's an example of how to get us to play games with people like you. Just write in, request it. Let us know what you want to play. Yes, Val, nerd rage. We love Mass Effect. Joel, you played a little bit of Mass Effect, right?
Yeah, I've played all the way through all the Mass Effect games and even some multiplayer with Val, as a matter of fact.
Oh,
it was a long time ago though. But it was good. It was fun. I did not die as often as I thought I was going to. Mm-hmm. She held my hand.
Good. See, Val's always there when we're playing Mass Effect. It's funny, every time we play, we say, man, we got to play this again. And I think we're at that point where, man, we got to play this again. And I think we should do a throwback Thursday. Hey, it just so happens that game night is on Thursdays. Let's do a throwback Thursday and let's play Mass Effect 3. I'm saying it right now.
I'm sure Jocelyn will be happy.
Oh, Jocelyn loves that game. So I just got to make sure that our Xbox Live Gold. Last week we talked about canceling our Xbox Live Gold.
Oh, yes, yeah.
We will keep it for the time being because until Mass Effect 4 comes out, I mean, let's face it, nothing's going to replace the sweetness that is Mass Effect 3.
Did they announce that?
They haven't announced it, but it is certainly being worked on and very publicly. Like they've pretty much said, like, yeah, we're working on the next Mass Effect. There's been screenshots, leaks, stuff like that.
I'm curious as to how they'd tie that in after playing all three of them.
I think they've said that they're calling it Mass Effect 4 in the sense that it's the fourth massive game in the Mass Effect universe, but it's not the Shepard story.
Okay.
Yeah, that is complete. It's non-spoilers, but that trilogy is a trilogy.
Right. That's good. I'm glad they're not milking it, to death. Mm-hmm. I like the universe. I like the lore. I like the aesthetic. But I wouldn't necessarily need more Shepard.
Yeah, I think.
Give me somebody new.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure. Like Shepard, when he came out, he was sort of this. He started off as a very stale, every man or every woman character, like very stale, very focused. I mean, they certainly took him or her from the first game and really did some awesome things with them in 2 and 3. But when it began, it was really BioWare saying, we are going to make a generic character and we are going to allow the person to, take that person and mold it into who they want it to be. So I think BioWare, by starting over, will give them the opportunity to create a truly unique character that you're playing.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. And I love BioWare games. So yeah, if you have an email, send it in. You want us to play a specific game, you should email us, follow us on Twitter. Just essentially poke and prod us until we play your game, because especially if it's Mass Effect 3. So visit us on the web at gamersinpodcast.com. You can also find us on amove.tv along with other fabulous podcasts, including Into the Nexus, Campaign Roundtable, Biggest Fan, The Angry Chicken, and Amove Radio. Joel, thank you for joining us. Anything
My
to
pleasure,
plug
sir.
For the good, fine folks listening?
Well, since you mentioned t-shirts, I actually just sent in a new t-shirt design to slashloot.com. So currently you can actually pick up Starcrossed t-shirts on slashloot. There's a few designs there. You can see those designs on joelduggan.com in my store, or of course right in slashloot. But the new design should be up by Monday at the latest. I'm hoping tomorrow. Dave is a busy guy, though, and it may not be available right away. But I will be announcing it on Twitter and my blog. You can follow my comic work at starcrossed.online.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Joel Duggan. And hey, I've got a Patreon. I'm asking people to help me make more comics, and that's patreon.com/Joel Duggan.
Cool. Yeah, actually, yeah, for sure. Check Joel Duggan out on patreon.com. And speaking of Patreon, I almost forgot to thank our patrons, the lovely people who have donated towards the show so we can do stuff like Gamers in Game Night. Currently, we're working towards a website redesign, which Funny enough, Joel had a hand in. We've got some super secret designs like
Oh, geez, that's right.
that will
I
not
forgot all
leak.
about that.
That comment would have been funnier if we had talked about our topic, but no, we might leak it maybe to entice people.
Tune in next week.
Anyways, yeah, maybe next week. But no, thank you to all the patrons, but specifically Derek Robbins this week. Thank you for your patronicity. Get it? No, maybe that one will stick. I'll have to ask Patreon. So again, thank you all of you for joining us. Follow us on Twitter. You can find Jocelyn at GIS Gamer, Joel at Joel Duggan, myself at R Murphy, and don't forget to follow the show at The Gamers In. The video versions of all our episodes can be found on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Jocelyn Moffat. You should totally go subscribe. I always laugh because it sounds like I wouldn't say that, but you should totally go subscribe. You can also find the show on Facebook and Google Plus if you like that sort of punishment. Email the show at info@gamersinpodcast.com. Before we go, I just wanted to give a quick shout out and thank you to Greg Moffat for creating our music, which if you're listening to the audio version, you're hearing right now. You can find him at Sounds Influence. We would also like to thank Joel Duggan, who was here this week, but also does all of our graphic work. You can find him and everything he does at joelduggan.com. Thanks for staying at the Gamers Inn, and remember to tune in next week. All right, we're good.
Are we